Hey, what's up, fellow Junior Woodchucks? Josh Thomas here from TheBitBlock to act as your guide through our video review of Ducktales Remastered on the Wii U eShop. Oh my goodness, I'm about to review a new Ducktales game. I seriously cannot begin to describe how happy that makes me feel. Now, in case you're unaware, this game is a remastered version of the original Ducktales title for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Just saying that sentence is amazing to me. Back in the day, my sister and I would play and watch DuckTales all the time. So needless to say, I'm a big retro Disney fan. Having said that, I really don't believe you need any nostalgia to actually enjoy this game. Alright, so DuckTales is of course a side-scrolling platformer, but it's a bit different than what you may expect. The gameplay is pretty non-linear, which means the overall feel gives off much more of a 2D adventure game than a straightforward, maybe Mario-style platformer. Scrooge can walk, hop, and even use his cane as a method to bounce on top of enemies and other objects. You can even whack things with it as well. Who knew Uncle Scrooge's cane could be so handy? Each of the levels in this game feels like its own little adventure. Scrooge and friends will travel to the Amazon to hunt for ancient gold coins, get to the bottom of strange happenings in a mine shaft, and even blast off to explore the moon and hunt for priceless green cheese. The developer WayForward has done a fantastic job of taking the original NES game and adding to it in ways that really improve the experience. While the game doesn't drift too far from the original title, there are new areas of each level to explore. The game's levels make much more sense now, I would say. The reason for this is because each location has its own little story and events that unfold as you progress. Players will have to search everywhere to find all the needed objects in order to finish a level. Alternatively, the NES game allowed players to, well, basically just kind of skip over areas and get right to the end boss battle much faster. The levels in Remastered are designed to make use of every section of the world. They've even created 2 brand new stages not seen in the original game. One of the more notable differences in the gameplay are the bosses. While they do feature the same basic enemies, they've been totally remastered to be much more intense and challenging. The controls feel very tight, and they have a real retro vibe to them. Aside from your cane being a little bit easier to use, the overall gameplay structure is essentially unchanged, which is exactly the way it should be. Visually, this game looks fantastic. The art style combines hand-drawn 2D characters and 3D backgrounds. The animations are so good, they feel like they were pulled right out of an episode of the cartoon. Each character definitely moves according to their personality. In fact, it's really great to see so many of the classic characters all come together in one game. There's Launchpad, Mrs. Beakley, Gyro, Bubba, and even Duckworth. I mean, basically, it's a DuckTales fan's dream. I think it's probably pretty obvious, but the worlds look so much better than the original game. Because of the added details, you really get a sense of wonderful atmosphere while you play. DuckTales Remastered is a great-looking game that captures the essence of the characters and the world perfectly. One of the most notable features in the original game was its music, and I'm happy to say the soundtrack in Remastered is fantastic. Each track is so darn catchy and filled with excitement. There's seriously not a single bit of music in this entire game that I do not love. For the record though, if I had to choose a favorite, I would probably go with the Amazon. It has such an exciting, energetic feel to it. It kind of makes you want to run around and act like a gorilla. Maybe that's just me though. Not only is the music beyond impressive, but the voice acting is equally great. The original cast from the TV show has returned to perform their characters, and they all sound perfect.
What is it, Uncle Scrooge?
It's a treasure map, lads. And no ordinary treasure by the look of things.
Only Uncle Scrooge would call any kind of treasure ordinary.
There's quite a bit of dialogue in this game, and while some may think there are a few too many cutscenes, I think fans of DuckTales will love them. And if you want to, you can skip the cutscenes quite easily. But come on, it's Alan Young, Russi Taylor, June Foray, and more, all perfectly performing their characters? Why would you want to skip that? So, Remastered isn't exactly the longest video game. You can probably complete it in about 5 hours or so. It's interesting though, because in the same way that I would personally love rewatching a favorite episode of DuckTales, I found myself replaying each level again and again simply because of how enjoyable they are. There's a total of 3 difficulty settings to play in, and I gotta say, this game can be quite challenging. When you run out of lives, you'll have to start a level all over again from the beginning. Now, for some gamers, this may be a little bit frustrating at times, and I'll admit there were maybe 1 or 2 instances where I got a little frustrated by it. But, I don't know, personally, it's kind of a refreshing change of pace. A lot of modern games have gotten a bit too easy, and they sort of pamper the player too much. The challenge in Ducktales Remastered is by no means unfair, so when you finally do accomplish something, you'll really feel like you earned your victory. Using the gold coins and treasure that you collect, you can unlock a whole bunch of really cool artwork and music. It's a bit strange that Uncle Scrooge would spend even a penny on something, but I guess it just goes to show how cool some of this artwork can be. Okay, so in conclusion, DuckTales Remastered is basically everything I wanted it to be. Some people may be a bit turned off by its retro difficulty and the amount of cutscenes, but I think many others will love the challenge and love hearing from the characters. Between the voice acting, fantastic writing, beautiful visuals, and amazing music, you'll really feel like you're playing an episode of DuckTales with each level. It's a pretty unique feeling. Even if you have no nostalgia for the original game, I definitely believe there's lots of fun to be had here. The game has undergone such a huge makeover that in many ways, even to people like me who played the NES game a lot, this does feel like a new experience. DuckTales Remastered is a fantastical, magical revisit to Duckburg, and because of that, the BitBlock is rewarding the game with a well-deserved 9.5 out of 10. And now, here's a picture of me as a young child in my DuckTales tent.